4. So that means you have 1, 2, 3, 4 problems where you have to use the distance formula. And then number 23, you just kind of have to explain why your answer for 22 is reasonable. So think about what that means. Why is it reasonable? Try to use some fancy words like, for example, therefore, because of, something like that. All right? I don't think it's not up on Google Classroom yet, so I'll post it in Google Classroom. All right, so in your binders, and that goes to the people watching in the video as well. In your binders, copy down, just like we did with 5.1. We do not need to copy down the first bullet point, only copy down the second bullet point. Yes, Terrence? All right, we can be on our best behavior so 8th period realizes how calm and focused 2nd period is.
Yeah, we're better now.
I'm already like doing stuff in front of the stage. No, only copy down the second learning target. Today's date is 9/26. Friday's date will be 9/27.
If we're going to the next page, we can set up this one like.
No, you can just have the 3 columns. You don't need to have it. So today we're going to use the midpoint formula to find the coordinates of the midpoint of a segment on the coordinate plane. Honestly, that learning target is longer than it's going to take us to figure out what the midpoint formula is. Not literally, but just saying the learning target is very long for something that is easier to do than this. Yeah.
If you're not gonna be here tomorrow, how are we supposed to turn in the homework?
There's no homework due tomorrow.
It's due Monday.
I knew that.
Calm down, calm down.
I was
Thank you
saying
for
it.
clarifying that for the people in the video,
I
right?
was saying, oh yeah, but
Thank you.
it's
Still Monday.
Because I am currently sick. Yes, I am drugged up on cough drops. And
Very good.
That's not good to say when students are watching this.
it's legal drugs. So it's kind of fine to say. I'm
So we know.
So it's better about the dance, but
Better
okay.
bet.
Not like the kitchen counter, but thank you for making me sick.
Better be from CVS.
Take 5 more seconds. Remember, these are in your packet, so you don't have enough time. You can always copy these down later. I always have to double check I'm not using the wrong fingers. I don't know. That's a great question. I need to like call the Board of Education and ask. Gregory, let's be quiet. Yes, ma'am.
oh,
Are you kidding me?
What?
When we get our books, we still have to copy down our learning target.
Yes, it's the act of copying down your learning target is supposed to center and focus what we're learning. We go back and talk about it. We use the learning targets to look into YouTube if you ever need help, or to go on Khan Academy and just type in what the learning target is, right? Trying to teach you how to become your own advocate for your self-learning.
oh wow,
All right.
Ooh.
I'm waiting for it to be silent. It's asking you to. It's asking you to use a ruler to find the midpoint. We can just try to guesstimate where the midpoint is here.
I'm
Right?
not guesstimating.
If we look at AB, how could we try to guesstimate where the midpoint is? Go ahead, Chidozi.
He said guess
2, 4. How did you do that?
Guess.
Like turn positive and turn it off.
I counted it because it was a 1, 2, and 1, 2.
That's not guessing. Not if this is
All right. Chidozi's correct. That midpoint would be 2, 4. What about the one on CD?
She'd be disappointed in herself.
Please raise your hand. Go ahead, Gregory. 87. How did you do that? 1, 2, 1, 2. So this would be the third line from both sides. And you said that was 8, 7. All right. The next ones are more tricky because why?
They're diagonal.
They're diagonal. So we can't count. This is when having the ruler would be helpful. But go ahead, Terrence. Let's do in alphabetical order, so EF is next.
5, 3.
5, 3. So, did you say that because you counted, or you just looked at it and guessed? You looked at it and guessed. That's correct. Right, we don't have a formula yet.
Ow.
All right, last one for GH. Go ahead. You said what? 11-2.
That's not fair.
So again,
But it's
we
hilarious.
kind of just can look at it and guesstimate. Lucky for us, all the midpoints here are on the grid line. So we could use that.
Not lucky.
So we could count just the vertical lines here and kind of use that. Because it is diagonal. Don't try to count all the lines. Just stick to either the vertical or horizontal and count those. So we could do something like that. What you need to do now in the table is we need to try to find a pattern. Write down the coordinates of A and B, and then write down the midpoint. So if we go back and do the first row together, A was at 2-2, and B was at 2-6. And then our midpoint was at 2-4. So fill out the table as you fill it out. See if you see a pattern developing. Okay, if you want, you can stop it here, or just keep rolling.
Just keep rolling.
Okay.
They need to hear
Very
our
long
discussion.
They don't
YouTube
need to hear your
upload.
office. Shut up.
They need to hear our discussion.
Yes,
No, they don't.
Videos on YouTube, whatever apps in.
What's your channel called?
Mine too.
Only like 100.
Say what is your channel?
I didn't ask you what channel is called. What's the channel?
Only since I started working here. Channel, I think, is just called Mr. Macier or just Macier.
Wow, how creative.
So in a professional setting, you're not supposed to be creative. In a professional setting, you're supposed to be respectful.
No, you're supposed to be
I'm
creative.
not gonna put up there like, I don't know.
I got a
a
good
math
one.
pun or anything like that.
I got a good
Oh,
one.
please no.
Of my
Math?
profession,
Oh.
YouTube.
I've got a very good one.
I'm trying to think of one real fast.
Depends
but I
on
can't.
the person
Okay.
that you can tell me how to start doing your life.
I got a good one.
Not you. Leah.
Gregory, come on, tell us your word.
Yes, I am.
Then what's the midpoint that you wrote down for GH?
Stop it.
Okay, is that? All right, we're just copying down the coordinates from our graph. Notice how we keep using coordinates. That's something you learned a couple years ago. Most of us learned it a couple years ago.
This is pretty hard. I don't know how to get the midpoint.
Well,
Oh, you add it and divide by 2. Easy.
Isn't that back from the day when people thought feelings were in their body when you were sick?
yes.
Wait, what?
Like, you were sick, how stupid.
What?
Very,
Oh.
very stupid.
And we have that
I
outside.
need a volunteer to come and write down all the numbers for CD.
Please.
Thank you, Timothy.
And why would you let him do that?
After Timothy is done, who wants to
Reach it, reach
write
it.
it?
We should have to do
Thank you, Caleb.
Oh,
And then lastly for GH,
He did. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Wait.
I'm gonna be fair and justified. It comes down to the problem on the other page.
How you?
yeah, you can use whatever color you want.
Okay.
You can change the color at the bottom.
Ooh, purple.
wow.
Always use purple. Purple is my favorite color.
Purple's a wonderful color. It's a breeze.
Yeah.
I think it'd be everyone's favorite color.
Sorry.
I don't think they care.
Remember, as a culture, we assign values onto things. So as a culture, we can stop assigning those values onto things.
Like what?
Like 200 years ago, manly color was pink. That changed.
The man with the
500 years ago, the people who invented high heels were men who invented them for horseback riding. So the heel got like stayed in.
Really, dude.
Oh, wow.
That's smart.
Ooh, I like that. I like that
What
yellow.
you think is a
Wow.
gendered thing now was a different gendered thing.
Is that what they switched to?
I don't think the people in the video can see the.
Yes, they can.
Is that what they switched to?
Shut your face.
I'll post the notes as well
They thought we
for
can't
the
see
people in
yellow.
the video.
They thought we can't see yellow.
You can see it.
All right,
You-
last,
You can actually see it better on the video.
Can't see
FYI.
yellow. You're not yellow.
We'll talk about it.
Timothy.
Are we noticing
No,
a pattern? You can
Timothy.
come up and wait.
Yes.
No.
There you go. You can change the color from the other one. What? No, not yellow.
The other one is 5-3.
Yes.
You changed to darker
It's 5-3.
8-3 slight.
Is Aaron giving commentary to the video?
Yes.
Who?
To give the real effect of being in class and having your friend try to talk to you.
What are you doing?
This is so
What? What are you doing?
I'm
leaning. You're what? I'm leaning. Oh, me too. No, you're dying. You're almost at the
That's
end
some
of
new
your last
camera
selection.
Alright, thank you volunteers.
I like your camera.
Now, we need to figure out, is there a pattern to this?
Yes. Yes.
One sec, let's remind ourselves, well, Michaela can say it first, and then if we need to.
What? She said the one yesterday.
Michaela.
She raised her hand.
Okay.
Wow.
For EF and GH, the pattern is that you add the X's and the Y's, and then you divide by 2.
So what is our another word for adding things together and divide by the number that?
Average.
Average. We took the average of 4 and 6. We added those to get 5, right? Isn't that what we did for our midpoint anyways when it was on a number line? We added the coordinates and averaged them?
Yeah.
We took the 1 and the 5 and averaged them. Is that true for all of them?
Yes.
Even for
One
AB?
person was trying to give me
If we find the average of 2 and 2, what's the average of 2 and 2? 2. So let's write down that formula. Told you this was going to be a fast day of notes. Alright, if we go to number 3, it's asking us, I don't know how that came up. Number 3 asks us, let's write it using the same type of notation we have from our distance formula. Capital M for midpoint. This is where it gets a little bit tricky though. We're finding the coordinates of our midpoint, so it still needs to look like a coordinate point.
X.
So we'll have parentheses, comma, parentheses, right? It's not a formula with just one answer. Our formula is giving us the X value and separately the Y value of our midpoint. So we do X2 plus X1. Notice how in the distance formula, it was subtract because we're finding the difference. In our midpoint formula, now we're adding our 2 X values. You will get that confused. Try to keep it to a minimum though.
Dang, no faith.
And then over 2. For the Y value, same thing. Y2 plus Y1 divided by 2. You can always check your work by graphing it and seeing if it looks like it's in the middle or not. If you accidentally subtracted or did another type of mistake, you can see visually it might not be even on the segment. It might be way far away, or it might be too close to one of the endpoints. So always, if you want, you can check your work. So let's try to use that new formula in number 4. So with your elbow partner, if you need to, work on number 4. Find the midpoint of the line segment AC, where A is 1,4 and C is 11,10. Notice how all of those are positive, so it's going to be easy, and then we'll try some examples with negatives. Remember what I say on the quizzes, if you don't show all your work, I can't give partial credit. So just get in the habit of always showing all your work, yes. What? Just plug it into this. Victoria, I'll come back to you.
Doesn't matter if you put X1 or X2
Nope. The only time it matters what we call X1 and X2 is slope, and it only matters that we always put the same point first. But here, if you end up switching it, it won't hurt you. The only thing that will hurt you if you add X plus Y, or if you do subtract on accident. But just like Shidozi did, we could label this, right? X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Make sure we're doing this problem out. The only reason my phone should be out if you need it for your calculator. But this math is simple enough that we can try to do it in our heads. This would be an example of what will come up on the no calculator portion of a PSAT that you take in less than a month.
Oh, come on.
You won't this year.
What?
Because we're going to have a more growth positive mindset.
Oh yeah, I like that attitude. I really do.
Alright, I think half the class is done.
Wait.
But some people are just talking instead of doing their work.
I got the answer. You're being
Yeah, we're not there.
I'm waiting for it to be silent. Alright. So, all right, does someone want to come up and show how they did all of their work?
Raise your hand.
Jordan. No.
Yes. I see. I think it's
I got 6, 7.
Yeah, but I was looking for a hand.
Do I have to like rewrite everything?
Just put the work that you did, and I'll tell you who's right or wrong.
It's right. I didn't put like all of it.
Jordan.
For midpoints, it's fine if you do a decimal. Just for the distance, we want to try to practice keeping it exact. But for midpoints, I don't like fractions. I specifically don't like mixed fractions where you have a whole number and a fraction. So decimals will be fine for midpoints. We don't need that here, right? No, that's fine.
Good job.
Right, so to check our work, we did 11 plus 1.
Hmm?
This
is-
oh my bad.
Never mind.
We did 11 plus 1. I'm waiting. We did 11 plus 1 to get 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Then we did 10 plus 4 to get 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Any questions about how to use the midpoint formula?
No.
Nope.
Pretty
Alright, let's see if
simple.
they have some examples with negatives.
Oh yay.
Dang it.
Yay.
Don't you love negatives?
They don't.
Yay.
Make our own example. then.
No.
Because I would rather give you a very complicated example in notes that we get to talk about than to make you deal with that very complicated problem at home without any notes to help you. Right? We will have time for Terrence to come back and do that last distance formula. Alright, tomorrow you can use your class time to work on the homework that's due on Monday, or I'll post some stuff on Khan Academy, and I'll tell the sub students have the choice of either completing their book work, turning it into me on Monday, or doing the Khan Academy extra practice, right? They want some more directed help on these problems if you don't feel ready to do your homework yet, alright? On Monday, when we all get back from the weekend, we will go over chapters 4 and 5. We'll go over all the chapter 5 homework first, but then we'll go back to chapter 4 where we talked about the segment addition postulate, the midpoint of a segment, the angle addition postulate, and the angle bisector. Right, so all of those pink papers that we did this week. We'll go back and talk about that, maybe do a quiz or something like that on Monday, and then we take our quiz on Tuesday. Embedded assessment on Wednesday, and then I have a field trip to go to on Friday.
What's the future?
So for the
Stop
middle
with the
schoolers,
shameless
we're
plug.
going to and then so I need to figure out we'll be ready for our test on Thursday, or we push back until the Monday of the 7th, October 7th. Yeah. This is why I wanted to do this problem. I made this off the top of my head, so yes, we probably gonna get a test.
Yep, we got this.
Why would he do that? Like, you gotta have it. You don't put odd numbers.
I got -1 and -1.5.
You can reduce it.
Wait,
Yes.
you gotta do that.
Any volunteers to come up and start our work? Caleb, thank you. Oh, he's not ready. Is everybody actually ready right now?
Hey, look. He had not been called on today.
Oh, shush.
Alright, this is gonna be the last thing in the video, so cross them with some.
Wait, I don't get to be in the video.
No,
You got called on twice.
do not use yellow.
Nobody uses it.
I'm invisible.
There's more colors if you press the.
Oh my gosh, what does that come Go do that turquoise.
Turquoise is amazing.
It's such a lame color.
I know, right?
What?
That burgundy.
Yeah, burgundy is like purple want to be a red,
I always push my ass.
or red want to be a red.
What?
That don't look burgundy.
That was not the move.
Oh, yeah, but cool color was burgundy.
You forgot your.
Alright, let's hurry up. Take the blue one.
Burgundy's a good color to wear, but I'm not sure like white with burgundy.
It's there.
Take the blue marker.
That's seriously this.
Ooh, he wrote Mr.
Beautiful.
That's
It's because the blue marker is always fidgety.
And
So whenever you want to use a color, use the blue marker and then change the color. As I always say, it's either like the magnet in the blue marker is weird, or the blue marker has too much grease on it for people's hands. We don't want their hands to go to the school.
That's not right.
Fluids
That's
go
just
through,
not
so
right.
don't wash your hands.
Who don't want
Use
to
hand
say
sanitizer first, then later.
Yours is
It's not wash your hands because you go to the bathroom, wash your hands because you're sneezing. But also wash your hands after the bathroom. Life skills and geometry class.
life skills and geometry. Woo.
My aunt's a life skill.
supposed to be doing normal every day. But if it's not, then
Come to my game on Thursdays.
Self-blood.
Bro, today is Thursday. They're probably gonna be seeing this video on Friday.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm waiting for us to be silent. So, we added our x values together. We have two negatives, so our answers, we just add the numbers together and keep it negative. If you kept it as a fraction, that's fine, but you could have also wrote it to be negative 1.5. Alright, but then negative 5 plus 3, or if you did it the other way, 3 plus negative 5, we get negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Any questions here? 1? Go ahead.
So you can leave it as like a 3 over 2?
Yeah, you can leave it as a fraction, that's fine.
It could be -1 or +1.
No, it needs to be negative 1. So make sure, because we're adding these together,
Right.
if we did it the other way, it would be 3 plus negative 5, so we still get negative 2.
But it can be -5 plus 3.
Negative 5 plus 3 is still negative, right? Remember, we might not remember it because we might not use it often, but remember we said it keeps the sign of the bigger number. 5 is bigger here, so our answer will be negative. All right, Michaela, you can stop the video.